All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we have here today is the Ultra Widow B. The Ultra Cornhole Widow. ACL Pro 21 to 22. I forgot what this MZ was. I think this was a special edition. Yeah, limited. They only made so many. But yeah, here we go. Ultra Widow B. First thing you notice, first things first, I've played with these a little bit. They're not like super broken, but they're like a medium broken in. About how I like them anyways. I think I used them a couple nights outside with the neighbors. Right away, first thing you notice is the dots. Can you see them in the reflection? This is very unique to Ultra. I think it's one of the coolest things done to bags ever. I have some theories on how they do it, but there's no way I can confirm. We'll get into that later. And on this side, this is actually the back side of this fabric. I'll show you a comparison in the microscope. Overall, like first initial impressions, this is a nice bag. This is one of the nicest bags. Anything Ultra makes are just spot on. I mean, look at that lineup. That is a damn good lineup. Great corners. They have the best closing stitch you will ever find. This is awesome. Like, that is some real handiwork. I'll get into how I think they do that later on in the video. But yeah, this is just one of the, they make some of the best bags you can get out there. It's my opinion. And I'm never wrong. Let's dive into this thing a little more here. Let's get into the sublimation aspect of these bags. Very, very well sublimated on this side. Unfortunately, that's kind of easy to say because this fabric lends itself very well to sublimation. But the gradient, very good gradient there that they did. So they got a nice printer doing the work here. Very good color red. Very easy to see like the edges of the lines. Logo looks good. Let's get into this closing stitch while we're up close. I think it's one of the best you will find, if not the best. Mostly because of how well centered, it's so close to the edge here. There's almost like no protruding fabric right here. That's got to be, I don't know, what, 1/16 of an inch or less? 3/32. It's so small. Here on the back side, you got the dots. There's one of the dots right there. It's a sort of, it's not like glue or anything, but it does make the bag slow down a little bit. Even though this fabric on this side is already pretty slow. This fabric by itself, without the dots, I rate a 4 on a normal board. And with these dots, it might be a 3. They make a difference, but they'll make a huge difference. And they wear off kind of quick, in my experience. But they're really cool. Now the sublimation on this side, pretty good, could be better. Maybe they're using the same time and temp as this side, but this fabric in particular can't use the same settings as heavy fabric. I'm not going to give away the setting that I use, but they need their own special settings. But it is pretty good. I'll give them that. It's really nice. This fabric is hard to work with. It's so flexible and just kind of grabs onto everything. Even just running my fingers over it, I can feel it grabbing my skin. And I don't have calluses like I used to, and it's still grabbing on. Here's the back side of the closing stitch. It says Widow B. Thread tension looks like it's right on the money. Why don't we get inside the bag and see what we got for fill? Just as before, we got the bag already opened off camera. With that being a single straight stitch on the closing stitch, it's pretty easy to open. Pretty short stitch length. Other than that, it was pretty easy. Let's get her dumped out. Whoa, it almost flew out. Kind of did. They use like a small fill, and it's a mix, which I like. I think it's neat when companies do a mix, because it shows that they are testing. They want to find the right stuff for their bags, the right feel. And I can vouch for that too, because if a bag doesn't feel right to me, I don't want to sell it. If I don't like the way it feels in my hand, then I don't want to put it out there. Oh boy. Alright, let's start flipping it to get the last of these beads out. This is my first time looking inside these bags. Nice bright white fabric. Okay, we got a couple sticklers. Alright. There's probably some trapped in the edges here, but that's alright. Oh. That's another thing with this particular fabric, that's their slow side. You get this a lot. There it is. Looking at it as we are right now, we can see they got like a super flat disc, a medium flat disc, just like the stuff I use, and a small round plastic pellet. Let's get in there super close. Boom, in there. Look at these little guys. These flat pellets, really flat. Now those are very different than the other two kinds of pellets that are in here. So there's 3 pellets total. Let me pull over this other one next, because there's 2 kinds of flat. They're just the same color, or different color, but same kind of pellet. See that? And then we have these irregular shaped ones. This is a resin. This is the same stuff that I use in my bags. I use a single fill, so it's all of this pellet. And then they also have these small round ones that are plastic. Don't know what kind of plastic, but it's plastic. But combined, and looking at it from the top view, I'd say it's a 1:1:1. There's just as many of each pellet in here. I like the feel of their fill a lot. I do like this combo of the round and the slims. I really want to try to find some of these round ones to make a similar combination. These flat ones I'm not crazy about. I don't think they make all that big a difference, but I'm sure they tested different varying amounts with and without, to see what they liked more, what their sponsored players liked more. So that is the fill. Let's stir it up a little bit, see what else we got in here. Nice shot of the round bead. Flat. Let's take a close look at their stitch. It is a single stitch. There is only one stitch going around. This is done by a pattern machine. How do I know? Because there are no lines that were traced on to show them where to sew in a regular machine. Plus, you wouldn't do something like this in a regular sewing machine. This is all pattern driven. Looking at the overall size and shape, of course it being a little bit stretched out from using, I think this just happens to everything. We're gonna put my template on top that I use for all my bags. See what that size is up. So their opening is a hair bigger. And you know what? Because of that natural stretching of the fabric when it's used, I would say that these bags are the same exact size as my template. And I made this a year and a half ago. It's the only one I use. Interesting. Same corner roundness, same size, just a little bit bigger on the opening. In the corners, we can see that it was cut by hand. Let's get in there a little more. Corners were cut by hand, either by scissor or by roller cutter. I'm gonna guess by scissor. But they're pretty straight, maybe by a roller cutter. I'm talking about something like this. I do it the same way. These were not laser cut squares. They were cut by hand or machine, but not by a laser. Mostly by hand. This stuff is so soft. This is the backside of the slow fabric. And this fabric here, the faster side, this is the business end, I'll call it. If you were making a pillow out of this, or a drape, which most of this stuff is for because it's mostly upholstery fabric, this is what you'd have facing outward. But they have elected to sublimate on the inner side, which has the backing, which is cool. So now you can see like what the fabric looks like untouched. And it is the same as this fabric right here. Let me find some characteristics. That's kind of hard to see on this, but these little ridges here, telltale sign, and because it is the same fabric as that BG fast side. I rated it about a 6 maybe. This is from a different manufacturer. So soft, it's just so soft. I love the feel of it. And it plays really well overall. This is the top right of the bag. Get focused. You can see their start and stop. They do looks like a 1, 2, 3 back tack. So they're starting here, it's going up and coming back down and then around with this single stitch, straight stitch. This is some thin looking fabric. This might, or fabric, thread. This might be a 40 size thread. This is pretty meager looking. It might be nylon. Hard to tell because it's so tiny. Polyester thread bonded is kind of, I would call it industry standard. I don't particularly like nylon thread. I think it's a little too slick. But this is just a single stitch. That's all that's holding the sides of your bags together. I don't think it's enough. It's a shorter stitch, looks like a 2 millimeter or less stitch length. So pretty tiny there. Where's my pointer? Get this pulled apart some. And looking at it super close, you can see the tension needs to be adjusted a little bit. They got the bumps just like in the BG bag, I would imagine. I think this is the bottom side when they sew it, and I think this is the top side. Why do I say that? Because there's no thread tails on the top side. Typically on these fancy program machines, the tails are on the bottom side and there's no tails here on top, so that's why I say that. Let's take a look at this side. Marker. Just checking her out. It's a pretty neat feature though. That's all done in the programming of the run stitch. 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4 on the back tack. That's perfect. And it's pretty. They did like a little funnel. That's pretty cool. I like that. Good call, Ultra, but not a good call on the single stitch. Demerit for that. Demerit, big one. Taking a look right here, you can see there's a little crease here. That's where their closing stitch is. It's like right here. And just like on the BG bag, wasn't perfectly centered on their opening. You can see it starts right here, and the edge is right here, and on the other side ends about here. It's very close. They're just off by a stitch or two. Not much. I mean, off by a little bit. With the pellets being so small, you gotta be careful because they can get out. All right, let's take a close-up of the back side of the slow side. Just a nice soft pillowy fabric. Right here the back side, and this is actually the front side of the fabric. A nice eggshell white. Let's see what makes it tick. It's still super soft, and just, it gives it like a nice sheen. This fabric has a nice sheen to it. I always think that looks cool. It just plays well. It's a good find. Time to weigh the fill. We're going to do it with the scale teared to the cup, and very, very carefully pour it in. Whoa, it's in my finger. One of them fell out. All right, let's get it all in the cup. What's your prediction? 15.2 ounces. I think that's what I do as well. It's either 15.2 or 15.3. But this bag has 15.2 ounces of fill. And on this 20 ounce cup, it's just below the 20 ounce fill line. Let me just jiggle it around. Yep. These bags, they feel like mine do, because this is about the same amount of fill that goes into mine as well, and the same weight. Let's put that with our shell. I'm gonna have to fold it, get it all in the scale. 1 pound even. Awesome. That means the fabric weighs 0.8 ounces. And let's weigh the rest of these. Let's see if they come out the same. I bet they do. I bet they do. 1 pound. 15.9. There it goes. 1 pound. 1 pound. Awesome. They're all the same exact weight. Very good. Maybe they're using the machines. I don't know. Maybe we're doing it by hand. I don't know. I know when I do my fill, like, and I'm doing it on like a Pro Series bag of mine, I make sure that it is the exact amount that I want. And maybe that's what they're doing too, but even doing it by hand, challenging because they make a lot of bags. Let's fill up this bag after we flip it. Now, with this fabric being as soft as it is, this is going to be super easy to flip. Big opening. I did like 2 pushes of the thumb. There, 4 total pushes. I have it inside out. That's easy. Okay, let's fill it up. And now, 1 pound, I shall close it. Well, I closed it and I made a mistake. Forgot that their stitch is a little bit longer than mine. Had it on my run stitch program and it went short, so I had to go again. But it was tough because I don't have the machine that can do that kind of closing stitch that they do. Not the exact machine, but I'll put a picture in there. But I believe they are using a post bed machine with a cylinder roller foot, a roller foot. Post bed machine with a roller foot. That's what I think they're using because of just how close they are able to get that edge. To do something like that consistently, you need a post bed with a roller foot. The roller would be on this side and the needle lines up so close. Like here's where the roller foot would be. Make it real close here. Roller foot would be pushing right about here where the tip is, and the needle is literally right there. There's almost no gap. And that's how they can get such a close stitch. They probably have something supporting the bag, like a little platform, but that's what I think they're doing. And looking at it on the close-up here, I just want you to appreciate what all is going on here. You got 1, 2, 3 back tack stitches, and on this side, same. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This side's probably 4 as well. Yeah, it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that is so close. Really good stuff. Overall impression, I might just go ahead and call this the best made bag that you will find with this stamp on it. I mean, it's close. It's hard to say. It's so hard to say because of the demerits. There's 2 big demerits. That single stitch, that single tiny stitch. I've never heard of an ultra bag falling apart, but it's just hard to fathom that it won't with that single tiny stitch. But what do I know? Okay, top marks for this closing seam. Top marks, the best you will find. Sublimations on point. Good stuff. The lineup. I am a stickler for lineup, and that is great. They are using an automated machine, pattern machine, but that's fine, whatever. Looks great. The dots, unique, original. No one else is doing the dots. Well, maybe on an oven mitt or the bottom of your slippers, but this is something different. I think maybe it's printed on. Hard to say. I want to think that they got some kind of thing they're sticking on, but I mean, I just don't know. I think it's printed on maybe with a UV or a DTG type of thing. A UV would be extraordinarily expensive just to do that. Probably not worth it, but a DTG printer maybe could do that. Just with a clear type of thing. I have no clue what this is. It doesn't feel rubbery. It's flexible though. It doesn't come off. It's just hard to say. I have to come across it someday in normal life to really have it dawn on me, but someday it will. I think they're applying for a patent. Good for them. This is more original than all Cornhole's little, oh, we have a patent because we sewed a square onto a square. Get out of here. You don't patent that. That's not a technique. Sewing fabric together. How do you get a patent on sewing fabric together? Get out of here. This is real innovation right here. Anyway, I digress. Great bag, great fill, great feel, plays. I mean, this is just a really good bag. Anything they make. If it says Ultra, don't be afraid. Unless the price tag is outrageous. I give it a thumbs up.